it's now not something that we are thinking or dreaming or suspecting. It's actually a fact that women have actually seen the kind of worst side of COVID impact, if I may. We've all obviously experienced illness in some way, whether we were infected or affected. But we've all also experienced death, either of loved ones, colleagues, friends, and unexpectedly, and it took us by surprise. But there's the other angle that talks to the woman and seeing women before COVID. We used to talk about women in the workplace not being represented. We talk about women in terms of being victims of gender-based violence. In the South African context, it's called a pandemic as well. We know women, when we look at unemployment, that was the conversation. But now it's now a fact, it's documented that women have actually, or we've seen more heightened gender into COVID. So if you think of the likes of your McKinsey, the likes of your OECD, which is the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, they've done studies and they're saying the gender effects of COVID-19 crisis highlight uneven progress toward gender equality. So unfortunately, there has been a regress. We haven't progressed, unfortunately, as a society, as a global society. If we look at things like employment, as I said earlier, if you look at things like representation, if you look at all sorts of factors, unfortunately, there hasn't been progress as far as women, the situation of women equality in general. And if we all talk about it from a personal perspective, we know that working from home hasn't been pleasurable for many women. A lot of people talk about flexible working. It's so great to work from home. So if I look at my personal story, working from home means I've been now 24/7 available for everyone at the same time. I cannot compartmentalize my life anymore. So working in the house where I've got my 2 children accessing me any time of the day, listening and hearing, your children crying while you're in delivering a presentation. I mean, I remember stories when, you're delivering a presentation to very senior people where it's one of those career moments that you've been waiting for. And then your little one comes running, either screaming or wanting your attention. So as much as those have been partly joys, but they have created a fatigue. So the other thing that we are noticing, I'm now moving towards the formal part of my experiences, is we're noticing that people are actually working harder. We're hearing more about fatigue. So if I look at the workplace now, and I hear and I listen to the trends, so we're hearing that COVID has now accelerated some of things that were envisaged or planned during the fourth industrial revolution conversation. We were speaking about flexible working, digital, and all of those things. And all COVID did was just fast forward. It's almost like we're in a time capsule where we're 10 years fast, ahead, even though we were talking about everything, but now it's happening. We're working from home. Some environments had in their policies that we do not work from home. You work in the office, and all of a sudden, everybody overnight had to make it work, working anywhere in the world. And I think those have been now the unintended consequences, which have been a pleasant surprise or a pleasant reality now for some organizations, that they're now seeing hybrid working as a benefit. So because of COVID, hybrid working is now seen as a benefit for some organizations. They're offering all sorts of flexible opportunities. I know one organization that I can't name has given the employees 10 days to work anywhere in the world. So you don't have to take leave. You can actually say, I want to work and be able to be on the beach maybe. So maybe you'll work 8 to 2, and then you can have an early knock off for the day and be able to be on the beach. So those are some of the like delights that have come out of COVID, or have fast forward the fourth industrial revolution conversation. Another debate that's happening is, what do we do in the middle of the pandemic? In the South African context, we're seeing that, yes, vaccinations have started. Yes, people have now, a lot of people have had COVID. We may have the fourth wave. The question is, how severe will it be? And now the question is, should we be opening up things completely? Should we be now forcing employees to be back at work? Some employers have always insisted that employees work in the office. Some employers are still grappling with that. And my work forces me to also look at it globally. So I know in the UK, even though they've got the vaccination levels, there is still anxiety amongst employees to be in the same facility as their co-workers. So in some environments, people don't want to come to the office, even though they are in a different situation. They're seeing higher numbers, of course, but they are seeing less death and they're seeing less hospitalization. So for employees, it's now difficult. How do you manage this? And we know back home in South Africa, there's the debate around what does the employment legislation say? And in some organizations, it's a bit difficult to say, what do we do? HR is trying to figure out, do we force people to come and physically be present during a pandemic? So I think that's the offering I can give at this stage. But back to the women conversation is then to say, for women, is this better? Are women now better off because the flexibility is probably what's attractive, as opposed to just say working from home? Because working from home is not how I would view flexibility. I think flexibility is, can I choose where I work? Can I choose the hours that I work? Can I choose the work that I do? Can I choose X, Y, Z? And there's something called, I forget the concept, it's about the other continuum of ability, where the likes of Gartner, who do studies on these types of HR practices, talk about you get extreme flexibility where you even choose the type of contract you want at work. So I think this COVID-19 context that we're in for women can actually help advance women. It can make women included in the workplace because of flexibility. If I look at my situation today, I was able to inform my boss I would like to go to parents' evening. I was still able to attend the meeting because it's virtual, but I was able to switch to a mobile device, be on Bluetooth, drive, and be able to attend to my children's, the priorities for me in my personal life. So from a woman's perspective, there are opportunities. The question is, are work environments going to embrace them? And are we therefore going to see the inclusion of women increase? Are we going to see that integration of work and personal matters being balanced? And then just the last one, and I know I said I would stop, I just remembered one angle. And that's to remember that with the flexibility comes the whole notion of, as a woman, I display qualities that ordinarily were not valued in the workplace, and that is empathy. And we raised it earlier. If there's anything that leaders are learning during the pandemic is empathy, and that has been something that's been, or a skill associated with femininity. And I think now, perhaps we're going to recognize that there is a place for females to lead in these typical male-dominated environments where it's perceived to lack the empathy. And now empathy has been seen as the #1 skill across the world that leaders need to have because of the pandemic. So again, will that allow women to be included even more because of the qualities that we've seen the pandemic emphasize? Because of the difficulty it brought from an emotional perspective for employees.